Hi, boys and girls. Miss Nestor here. I'm going to read you a poem called Sylvia Rose and the Cherry Tree. April is National Poetry Month, and I love poems. I love words that rhyme. I love stories that use rhyming words. And this one is a great one because it has beautiful images that were illustrated and drawn and colored so beautifully. So as I read this, I want you to listen for rhyming words and look at and enjoy the beautiful pictures. Sylvia Rose and the Cherry Tree by Sandy Hurt and illustrated by Zindy Yan. Bold adventurous Sylvia Rose loves visiting the animals and trees of the forest. This very strange tale began in May in a friendly forest on a sunny day. Skipping along a path in the wood, danced Sylvia Rose, and wow, she was good. Laughing and leaping came Sylvia Rose, whirling and twirling on twinkly toes. She was instantly loved by the woodland creatures. She had lovely manners and mischievous features. But mostly the animals thought it a treat to see a young girl keep such a great beat. As she danced to the tune of her very own song, raccoons and chipmunks danced along. 2 doves, a fox, and 2 whippoorwills spun and laughed. They couldn't sit still. A granddaughter squirrel and a grandfather hare danced as if they hadn't a care. A mother owl and a honeybee danced around the big cherry tree. The animals never had such fun. They all joined in, one by one. They begged and pleaded and made her agree to meet the next day at the big cherry tree. Then every day after, she'd meet them to dance. They'd wiggle and giggle and boogle and prance. But a sight of sorrow dampened their glee. "What fun I am missing," moaned the big cherry tree. "I bet you can dance," cried Sylvia Rose. Your limbs wave like arms and your roots curl like toes." "Yes," said the tree, then started to weep. "But I can't really move. My roots run too deep. I've seen not a bit of this great big vast land beyond what I see from this place where I stand." The tree wept like a willow and pined like a pine, sighed like a hemlock and drooped like a vine. But Sylvia Rose remained optimistic. They just had to figure out one great big logistic. She climbed in the branches the better to see how one goes about moving a big cherry tree. "I've got it," she said. "Here's what must be done. We'll dig up your roots from the ground one by one. We can all give a paw, and it shouldn't take long. We'll just dance as we do it and sing out a song." So they all went to work on the roots of the tree, and before very long, it could dance and was free. As it wiggled and giggled and shook all about, birds, bugs, and squirrels came tumbling out. "I'll show you the world," said the girl to the tree. "We'll dance all around it. There's so much to see." But the tree was concerned and asked, "Do you think we'll be able to stop for my roots to drink?" "Why, of course," she replied. "No worries at all. Without water, I know you would dry up and fall." So they said their goodbyes and joined branches and hands to begin their adventures to faraway lands. They danced to the desert for a very quick look, then straight to the prairie to drink at a brook. They danced to the seashore and up a great mountain, and to very old cities where they drank from old fountains. They saw wonderful things as they spun and they twirled, the most wonderful things you could see in the world. But back home, the forest creatures had trouble. They needed the tree to return on the double. The sparrows who lived in the tree were dismayed. Without their safe home, they were tired and afraid. The family of wood mites had run out of might, with no wood to eat and a huge appetite. The chipmunks were homeless, just like the rest. For years the tree's trunk had hidden their nest. The owl was exhausted. She was up day and night, and could no longer get her woo-wooing quite right. Without their tree, they were all in great need, but the creatures discussed it and finally agreed that they'd give it more time, just a bit more to see, if they would all need to move to a new different tree. Instead, they all said it was better to wait. It's so hard to find good real estate. So they banded together and labored like champs to set up crude shelters and makeshift camps. They hoped that what they'd built would suffice for a bit, and the tree would miss them the way they missed it. Meanwhile, the cherry tree, come to find out, felt pangs in its heartwood while traveling about. It was growing tired of being a tourist. It did miss its creatures and its spot in the forest. These feelings were shared by Sylvia Rose, who was homesick and tired from her head to her toes. She too missed the forest, though their travels were great, and was dreaming of home. She just couldn't wait. So they set off again with branches in hands to make their way back to familiar lands. They danced all day and all through the night until the edge of the forest they loved was in sight. Imagine the joy, imagine the glee when the creature spotted the girl in the tree. They sang and they danced like never before, thrilled that the two had returned from their tour. "It is swell," said the tree, "to dance and to leap, but oh, how I miss my roots running deep. I shall never again take my place here for granted. Now what do you say that we get me replanted?" So that's what they did. Every creature around began digging and burying roots in the ground. They danced as they did it and sang out a song, and the tree was rooted again before long. Birds filled its branches and chipmunks its trunks, which they shared with a very nice new little skunk. Wood mites got munching, cocoons were respun, and it dawned on the tree how it loved everyone, how the life in its limbs made it feel so complete, and the spot where it stood was nothing but sweet. But the story's not over, as you might suppose, until we find out about Sylvia Rose. When the forest was whole and complete once again, and the creatures had homes, what did she do then? Well, they begged and pleaded and made her agree to meet the next day at the big cherry tree, and every day after she met them and danced, they wiggled and giggled and boogled and pranced. On her twinkly toes on the path in the wood danced Sylvia Rose, and wow, she was good.